So hi, good morning. I am Anishra Chaudhary. So today I have read about an Aeon essay about how crisis turns into action. So basically, it is crisis occurs in everyone's everyday life, and also it occurs in special cases like in wars or in as in financial crisis in 2008, or in some social reforms, or even in the earlier times in freedom movements or in the slavery movements. So crisis is basically something which brings about a change in the in both the mental and the physical part of the human body, and it makes a change. So that's why crisis is important. Crisis is basically like a radical thing that changes all the uh, that changes the that changes the thinking and the relation of thinking in our lives. So after crisis, we can easily bring out changes that we haven't changed for many years. So basically, in the slavery movement, we can see that in 1832, when the slaves were being deported by the British men, and they started a movement, and then they fought against the British, and then um, they burned all the plantations in those factories, and they created a great movement. So that movement was very significant in bringing the um, slavery rule down, and the abolition of the slavery rule. And really, it is one of the great things of crisis. Even in the crisis of the Indian freedom fight, when the final Quit India movement and Subhash Chandra's Indian National Army, they they made a huge change, and then the British couldn't handle it, and also the British had also some economic problems. That was also complementary to that, and the British government fell, and they left the India and gave it to the Indian nationalists to rule India. So basically, this is how crisis movements occurs, and basically it is three part. The first part is crisis. The second part is the movement, the ideas, and the third part is crisis. And so I will describe all the three to you all. So the first part is crisis. It may be of any crisis, be it a climate crisis, be it a normal political crisis, be it a everyday crisis, be it a land crisis, anything. And there is always an idea behind resolving that crisis. So basically, we take up those ideas and try to resolve the crisis. So crisis resolution depends upon those ideas, so that we can resolve the crisis. And after that, if we can resolve those crises, then a movement starts, so that we can change those ideas into action, and that is called the movement part. And this is one of the most important parts, because you cannot say that the movement is done without even implementing it. So this is some of the most important things in this crisis movement. And I need to say that crisis happens in also climates, like in the Dutch, in this Dutch climate crisis, where the whole dam, whole flood came inside the Dutch cities. They created some dams so that they can restrict the flow of the water into their cities. So it was a preconceived idea to create a dam, but they never created a dam because they were ill managed. The whole city was ill managed, and that's why this type of mishap happened. And also something like crisis is important in life. Like without crisis we will never grow in life, and crisis is like some of the most important things in history that makes radical change. Crisis is like an opportunity that we should take in everyday life and then implement it, and so that we can get something out of it and learn something and grow with it. So this is one of the most important thing about crisis. Crisis might be tough at some point, crisis might be something that is unbearable, but after some point of time it is like really easy to make a change. It is important to make a change and make our lives normal again. And this is really about crisis. And for crisis we should always try to think of solutions that are really capable of solving that damaging thing. And those solutions are very important, because in the 2008 financial crisis also, the US government was really implementing some good steps after the 2008 crash, and then their economy boomed. And even after the 2008 crash they still had reached some of the greatest heights that no country has ever reached in history. So these things we should learn and devise into our daily lives also, not just for the country, for ourselves also, that how to act in crisis and how to make ideas and devise those plans and implement according to it. So it is really something. Mainly crisis people try to think that crisis is something which can be solved with any thought of optimism. But optimism, I don't think there is optimism in it, because a radical hope can change it. Because optimism is like a hope, just not a radical hope. So only optimism can't solve it, it's radical hope that can solve it. So I think it is all that I wanted to say. And bye guys, I think today's session has ended, and I'm going to end my podcast. Thank you guys, bye.